Hello, Wilhelm. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well. And how about yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. Did I pronounce your name in the right way?
Yes, you pronounce it very well.
Good, good. I was
Normally,
unsure.
I introduce myself as Will because it's easier.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your project,
Mhm,
Resumption.
mhm.
So, what can you tell about it? When did you came up with this project, and how you start to work on the music and decide what kind of music you want to play?
Well, the initial spark, the idea for this project came. I was in another band, or it wasn't really a band at the time. It was starting, it was getting off the ground. Was a guy who wanted to play a mixture of funeral doom and death metal, and I thought this sounds very interesting. So I wrote one song that was very straightforward funeral doom, which he liked a lot, and then I thought, okay, I'm gonna make the next one a bit nastier, like the way I would like this to sound. And that guy didn't like that at all, and told me, no, 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 this is way too dirty, way too nasty. So then I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. If I can't bring my personality into it, I'm not gonna, yeah. So that went away. But then I had sort of the idea in my head that I wanted to do again. I mean, I've had a doom death metal band before, the Gardeners, put out a few albums and such. But then I had that seed with me for a few years, and I've been in a few blues bands, and I still am in one blues band. But always like it would be fun, you know. And then I went to see Primordial play a few months ago, and during that show, it was amazing as always. I was just like, I have to start doing this again because I mean, I listen to all kinds of music, but blues and death metal slash doom is my main favorites. So I was like, I have to get back to this, and I've been recording other kind of music for other things, and I was upgrading my recording software, and I was like, now I have an opportunity to play with my all my new fancy toys and try to record this death metal stuff. So then I was like, okay, I'll record a couple of songs and see what happens. So I think I recorded 5 songs, and my initial idea was to have friends of mine sing because I've never growled before, or I have, but I didn't have the technique, so my voice died after like 10 seconds. But as I was writing and recording this, I was sort of growling along to it, and I was like, my voice is not dying. Interesting. Maybe I can try it myself. So that's what I did. And I guess that comes from now. I've been out for five, 6 years singing a lot in blues bands, doing very long shows, sometimes up to 3 hours long shows singing. So I guess my vocal technique has improved because of that. And hence I can now do the very pretty vocals I do in Resumption.
Yeah. And so you did all the instrument in the album.
Yeah.
So uh, when did when did you start to play or to sing in general? When is the moment that you start, and how did you learn everything else?
Oh, interesting question. I started to play bass when I was 11, 12, something like that. And I played bass for a few years. And then when I got into high school, I got into my first band and I played bass in that band. Then the guitar player left. And then I was like, okay, I'm switching to the guitar. And then I've always been drawn to drums. So every opportunity I get, I go and sit behind a drum kit and make some noise. So since since uh, since I'm able to play a little bit of everything, I've played everything from blues. I played in a salsa band. I played South American folk music. I played Swedish folk music. I played country music. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but since I can't play jazz. If I'm going to be honest with you, that's one of the genres that doesn't really interest me that much, and hence I've never learned to play it. But since I can play a few different instruments and a few different styles, it's become quite a habit that people ask me like, "Hey, I have this project. I know you can play. Can you play bass?" Sure, I'll play bass. Why not?
Yeah. Did you get a lesson to learn bass and other instrument, or are you self-taught?
I started taking lessons on bass. I did it for, I don't know, 2, 3 months, but the teacher and I were not on the same page at all. I wanted to learn Black Sabbath riffs, and he wanted to teach me music theory, and we had a, or I had a very, very boring instruction book, written by a couple of Swedish musicians. And since they didn't want to pay any royalties to anybody, they had the songs they taught were written by them. So I thought it was very boring. The only like known stuff was public domain. Like I remember one of the first things I learned was "The Saints Are Marching In," the melody to that. So I took lessons for a few months, and then I was like, I'm not getting out of this what I want, so why pay someone just to basically waste my time? So since then, I've just learned by ear and learned by playing all the styles that I can, or that have been presented to me. Like I said, I played salsa and South American folk music. I did that in college. I was playing drums in a death metal band called Devastator with Luis from Tristizia. And we were renting a rehearsal space from a group of a cultural center with guys from Chile. Luis from Tristizia was from Chile, so that was the connection. And they one day needed a drummer for an event and asked me if I wanted to try, and I had no idea what they were talking about, but it's like, why not? Okay. And then I ended up joining that organization and did quite a lot of shows with them during my college years. So most of it has been self-taught, but then always try to what do you call that? Like absorb as much as I can from other musicians.
Yeah, yeah. And all those different kind of music that you have been playing, there is one that is a bit more complex in your opinion, and that let you grow as musician. Of course, every experience let a musician grow, but there is one in particular that open your eyes in a certain way.
Well, I guess that was playing with those guys from South America, because they introduced me to rhythms that I'd never heard and I would never been exposed to otherwise, and so ways of constructing melodies that I still use. And I guess I haven't used that stuff on the Resumption record, but on my old death metal band, the Gardeners, I used a lot of that kind of chord progressions and melodies and stuff like that. Resumption is more brain dead.
Let's talk about now the music that you create for Resumption. So the debut single was released, Don't Come, and you are going to release on 17th of April, if I'm right, the debut album, The Recipe. So what can you tell about the single Don't Come, and about the upcoming album also?
So, well, Don't Come thematically or lyrically is about one particular person, which I really don't like. And it's, about him, but also about people in general who the only thing they bring you is negativity, and they only come with their hands out. They only come asking for help. They never offer any help. So that's what that song is about. And the entire album is a lot about mental health and the ways I've sort of devised to make myself feel better mentally. And that song is about how do you say, cutting people out. If someone is just bringing you down and making your life more difficult, for me, I'm sorry, then you will not be in my life, because I want to surround myself with positive people that can bring me and I can bring them forward. And I mean, that is the sort of the grand scheme of the album. Mental health and self-help. I do realize it's a bit of an odd topic for this kind of music, but it's, yeah, have to sing about something, and this is what I felt like singing about. And then, of course, there's a little bit anti-religion in there, of course, because that's a big part of what I believe in as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that mental health as topic in the last few years has been um, a big one in the metal community. And talking with other musicians, it feels like that the music and the writing about it is self-care, self-therapy in a way. So that's good. And the topic of cutting out people, I think that sometimes we are scared to cut out people, in particular if they have been in our life for a longer time. But if they are just dragging us down, we need to find the courage to cut them down.
Yeah.
So, because otherwise it's not helping, it's just affecting the life.
Exactly. No, and at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself first. And I think that's something, myself included, is guilty of not doing. You always want to help, and sometimes you put yourself in the second place, and I think you shouldn't do that. I mean, you should always try to help everyone as much as you can, but if you're crying yourself to sleep every night, then you're not of any help to anybody.
That's true. That's true. Also, you dedicate this album to your father. So, would you like to tell more about this dedication to your father?
Yes, well, my dad, he really did not like metal music at all. But he was like very happy that I was a creative person in some way. So, of course, he was way happier than when I was playing blues or other kind of music. But he and I had a deal, because he was a writer. He wrote some books and essays and stuff of that, things of that nature. So we had a deal that we would send each other whatever. I would send him my CDs and he would send me his books. But we had the deal that, okay, you don't. Doesn't have to listen to the entire thing. Listen to one song, and and I would read one chapter, because my father's work was very theoretical, about Swedish poets and troubadours. So it was academia. So it was a very, very hard read. So that's what I decided to dedicate the album to him, because, well, I thought it was a very funny thing to do, because I know he wouldn't have liked it at all, but still he would appreciate that I continue doing music.
Yeah, and that's nice. Yeah. About the recording of the album, how was the process? How long did it take, and where did you record it?
I think I started in November, and it was done in January, something like that. And it was all done in my home studio by myself. And then I had, mentioned, a co-producer. It's a guy called Niklas Ankar Brandt, who used to sing in the Gardeners, and he has a band called Kulgata and another one called Catapultium, and he's a very good singer and musician and producer. So I sent the stuff to him and said, like, hey, what do you think? What should I change? What isn't working? And he came with some ideas and suggestions.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to make it prettier, but
just to the the outsider can give you the few hints to make it even better than what it is.
Exactly. Since I'm just one guy, one idiot, and a laptop, and it's very easy to get to, after I've listened to this album like 1,000 times, things that I'm no longer hearing, someone else will pick up and tell me, like, hey, maybe you should this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Did you find any challenge during the recording or the writing of the songwriting of the songs?
Well, I guess the most challenging thing was to not complicate things, because I'm very good at that. In my past band, I did, even though it was death doom, so kind of slow stuff, a lot of it was very complicated with a lot of harmonies and a lot of intricate guitar work. And here I wanted to do the exact opposite. There are some, like the last song ends with some pretty things, but I really had to, like, no, let's make something that's actually playable, that if I'm going to do this as a 3-piece, it will actually sound big and not rely on having 4 different harmonies going on. But so, well, since I write and record at the same time, it did happen a few times that one day I wrote the song, recorded the song, and then the next day I was going to add a second guitar or bass. And since I didn't write anything down, I had forgot some small details. And as it's not, it's a lot of distortion going on. So sometimes I was like, what the hell did I do there? And I had to sit for a very long time to be able to figure out that, yeah, that was that part. So it could take sometimes something that isn't necessarily difficult to play, but since it's just so distorted, it took me way longer to figure out what I actually did than maybe it should have. And then, okay, 2 hours to figure this 15-second part out. Okay, now I got it. Okay, and now let's record it again. And that takes me 5 minutes.
Yeah. And what are your main influences?
Well, the biggest one would be Bolt Thrower. because that's one of my favorite bands. But then there's Broken Hope, a lot of their slower stuff, not the blasty parts. Some Pyrexia, like some New York style death metal, the more slammy stuff. I have no idea if these influences are coming through or not. Very influenced by Acheron, the American death metal band, especially their mid-90s stuff, where they did more doomy things, and Funeral from Norway. The OG Funeral doom band. So I try to blend all that together and make my delicious noise.
Yeah, nice. So now you are releasing this album, but what's next on plan for Resumption? Have you thought if you like to have live gigs and to pick up musicians to play with you, or what's the idea on that side?
Okay, sure. So the first thing that's going to happen is that in 2 weeks, I'm going to put out another single called, I have to have my cheat sheet here, Some Things Are Too Broken. A song about, it's also a song about cutting things out that is just, if something is just too broken, a thing or a person in your life, you just have to let go. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. And then in terms of lineup, I do have a full lineup. We haven't started rehearsing yet, but I have. We are going to try as a 4-piece in a few weeks. Have a rehearsal, see how everyone gets along. I'm bringing along the bass player from my blues band, because he and I played in bands now together for about 5 years. And he's he's not a metal guy at all, but he's on the other hand not a blues guy at all, and he learned to play the blues very well. So he thought it would be fun to try something completely different. So we're going to start doing that, and if all things goes well, we'll start looking for gigs.
Yeah. So when you are start looking for gigs, so if I remember, you live in Portugal.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So I figured that you are going to look in Portugal for some live show 1st, and then maybe in other countries if
Yeah,
there is a
if there
chance.
is any interest, so sure.
Yeah. How is the metal scene in Portugal?
It's great. There's a lot of bands, there's a lot of small festivals, there's a lot of shows happening, a lot of local shows. Unfortunately, a lot of the bigger tours, a lot of the bigger tours just go to Germany and Belgium and that, and understandably, that's where the money is. So a lot of the bigger shows skip Portugal, unfortunately, but it's a very, very strong local scene. There's a lot of great bands. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's nice, because in many countries the metal scene is a bit not that well. So it's nice to hear that somewhere the metal scene is good and alive.
Yeah. No, but it's nice to see. Like every time there are shows here, it's always maybe not sold out, but there's generally quite a lot of people. And I guess that is a response to not getting that many big shows here.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
we
Yeah.
do get the huge ones. Um, like Amon Amarth is playing in a few months, for example.
Yeah. But yeah, it's more rare that the bands decide to go there. Yeah. Now that I think about when the bands put out the the tour, and then you read always Germany, maybe few gigs, then Netherlands, few gigs,
Yeah.
then there is Italy, one gig, usually Spain, France, Switzerland. And then it depends. It can be sometimes Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, but not Finland. That's something that I don't understand. Can you? Okay, it may be a bit more expensive too, but
Yeah, I mean, there's always the ferry from Stockholm to Helsinki.
yeah. So
It can't be
that's
that
sometimes
expensive.
something that I'm looking like. Why they are playing in Sweden but not in Finland? Why?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Now,
yeah,
considering there's a billion bands in Finland, so there
yeah,
must be a billion metalheads. Well,
yeah.
technically it can't be, but
Yeah, let's say that the scene maybe is growing again. It was a moment when the scene just got down. I don't know what happened. Bands are always there are a lot of new bands all the time, and very talented. But when it comes to people going to see the band lives, it depends. Maybe in Helsinki, Tampere, and Turku, yes, but in other cities it's a bit more tricky. But the hope is that the young generation start to go to gigs, because it feels like that people from my generation start to be more home people.
yeah. I hear you. No, it's
Yeah,
I can only talk for myself, since I have a young daughter, which is my priority in life now. So, and since I've been out gigging quite a lot myself, going to other shows as sort of have to take a back seat, because I don't want to be away too much.
not yeah.
But every once in a while, I go out. And it's kind of funny, in the little village I live in. I live about 25 minutes north of Lisbon, in a little village. And in this little village, there is a yearly underground metal festival. So that one I always go to. I don't care which bands are there, because it's a 2-minute drive from my house. So it feels more like it would be shameful not to go.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. When something is so close, it's like almost mandatory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But we are at the end of this interview. So thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. Would you like to say something to people that are watching it?
Well, thank you for spending some time with me, or with us. And I really hope everyone tries to take care of themselves the best they can, because we only have this life, and make the best of it.